I'm here with Tommy Hines, who's the Executive Director of South Union Shaker Village here in Logan County, Kentucky. And Tommy, thanks for having us today.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the site here?
This place was organized by the Shakers in 1807 as a result of the great revivals here in this part of the world. They came all the way from New York to establish 2 villages in Kentucky and 4 in Ohio and 1 in Indiana. South Union was the southernmost of all of those villages, and was very flourishing in the 19th century, both from an economic standpoint and a religious standpoint as well. So great success for them, but after the war began to decline because of lack of membership and problems with their economy, lack of workforce, and closed in 1922 as a result of that.
So how many buildings are on site here now that are open to the public?
There are 7 buildings that we have. 5 of those are open to the public on a daily basis. We're in the process of restoring that 6th building right now, which will hopefully be done in a couple of years.
Now I know you guys are working on some new exhibits here. You've got a new building recently. I know there's an African American history exhibit that's going to open fairly soon. So what ways are you kind of working to connect with modern Americans to sort of teach them more about South Union Shaker Village? We
have found out that the Shakers had many of the same qualities and tenets that people really admire today. One of those being equality and what we would consider tolerance today. The Shakers had African American and white members here that lived in the same rooms, side by side, worked together in the workshops, and even there are a lot of African Americans who rose to prominence within the village. For instance, we had an African American woman who was one of the trustees of the village, which meant she took care of the money. So they had opportunities here they would not have had in the world outside of the Shaker Village. We are going to be opening an exhibit in February during Black History Month that kind of chronicles a lot of the personal human stories of the African Americans who lived there. Much of this material being exposed for the very first time in these wonderful manuscripts that still exist here.
So they're also sort of very green-minded and environmentally minded too. Have you found that's a way to connect with modern audiences as well?
I think that modern audiences love the fact that the Shakers lived simply. The Shakers did not waste anything. For instance, the water that they pumped into the kitchens to wash their dishes with went to the laundry next to be used, and then went from there underground to the herb gardens to water those gardens. Things like that, the way that they use light in their buildings for good health. When somebody walks in this building, for instance, they cannot help but sort of be awed by these spaces, by the sound of your voice in these buildings, the light. So people are very, very impressed with what the Shakers did with so little resources compared to what we have today. But I think they're also interested too in those things like equality, intolerance, and the fact that the Shakers gave men and women equal rights here. In the 1820s and 30s, a man and a woman would oversee this place with equal power. That was not happening in the outside world in those days, and for many, many years to come, actually. There's just so many things that people are trying to do today in their homes, in their architecture, in their lives, really, that the Shakers were already doing 150 years ago.
Well, thank you so much for having us here today. I really encourage everyone to come visit South Union Shaker Village. It's a wonderful site that is really digging into some modern issues of relevance and importance. So Tommy, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, sir.
Really appreciate it. Thanks.
If history is important to you, please like our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share with your family and friends.